So here's the thing that we want to sort of lay out there for you to bubble in the air as we are moving forward today. Because if you can reconcile this, then all of this will come together easily for you. We just want to ask you this one simple question. Is it easier for you to control the behavior of a substantial number of people and circumstances and events in order to give you something that you can look at that will take you easily into the vortex? Or would it be easier for you to just focus your thoughts on things that take you into the vortex? Well, pretty clear, isn't it? Much of your world is going about it in such a backwards way. They're saying, when I see that, I feel good, but when I see that, I feel bad. So we need to make laws so that that can't happen. And we say, are your laws doing the trick for you? Or are you filling your gels to the brim and building more every day? Because the very essence of every single person on the planet is absolute freedom. In other words, you all want it. The freedom you're looking for, hear it, is freedom from your own vibrational discord, which is self-inflicted every single time. And when you discover how to get in the vortex and maintain a certain amount of time in the vortex, you're going to discover freedom beyond anything that you have ever experienced before. And that's what we're rooting for. We're rooting for the alignment of you in your physical form with you in the vortex. So, it is our promise to you, you did not come to struggle and suffer, but you did come to focus, which means diversity serves you extremely well. But the key is, once you know what you don't want, which helps you to clarify what you do want, give your undivided attention to that. And as you, all day, every day, are determined to get into this vortex, it is our promise to you that you'll get in and you'll get in and you'll get in. And sure, the vortex is going to spit you out. Because you don't have the ability to get in there and think only pure thoughts about everything. You're a creator, you're a sifter, you're a sorter, you're a diversified person exploring contrast, and it is the most normal thing in the world for you to get in and the vortex to spit you out. But you meant to spend way more time in this vortex than you are being in this vortex. It was your plan to be mostly in there and occasionally out, and we got to tell you, you've been out of the vortex long enough to create enough in the vortex work for 20 or 30 lifetimes. In other words, you really don't owe it to anybody to get out there and struggle yourself into clarity. We think you know what you want. You know what you want. So, your baby's coming in, they're aligned. The more they hang around with you, the less aligned they are. Because you find so much to fuss and worry about in your exploration of contrast. Now, that in and of itself is not a bad thing. It's perfectly wonderful to look around your world and acknowledge the parts of it that you do not want. But when you keep the parts that you do not want active within you, you prevent yourself from being a vibrational match to the parts you do want, you see. And we just want you to understand that you have the ability to do a much better job of tuning yourself than you usually do. Tuning yourself to the furthest expansion of who you are. Think about the alternative. So, you get up in the morning and you really don't want to go to work, but that's the way you make your money for now. So, you think, well, in a perfect world, I'd fix that. So, I wouldn't go to work. I'd just have my own money coming somehow. And in order to do that, I've got to have a really good idea. So I need to get on the internet and I need to explore all of the ideas and decide what's a really good idea for me. And then I'm really not prepared to do that. I don't have the equipment and I don't have the money to get the equipment, but I'll find some grant. I'll find some way. I'll find somebody that will give me the money so that I can get the equipment so that I can create my own business. And then I'll do as much as I can, but then I might need some employees. And they'll have to come to work. I'm having a hard time working this out because I'm doing this whole thing because I don't want to work. So they probably won't want to work either. So I'll get back on the internet and I'll find those who want to work. That's what I'll do. I'll find those who want to work, and I'll create a business that will be big enough that then they can come and they can work. And we say, or you could just get in the vortex. You could just get in the vortex. You could just find a way of finding a thought that doesn't feel uncomfortable and let the universe who has much better than a Google search engine, who has access to every vibration on the planet, who knows who everyone is, where everyone is, exactly what their vibration is, who will perfectly match you with everything that you've put into your vortex of creation, where law of attraction has already assembled all cooperative components. So the question that we want to put to you is, are you a cooperative component to your own desire? And the answer is usually not. The answer is, if you're feeling elation, yes. But if you're feeling frustration or overwhelmment, or if you're worried, then you are not a vibrational match. You are not a cooperative component to your own creation, to your own vortex. Jerry and Esther have been making their way from California here for the last several days. And in the process, they've been thinking about ways that it could be better. And it's really fun to watch them constantly trying to figure out how this could be a little better and how this could be a little better. And so this morning, they were chatting about some new ideas they have about making their transfer from place to place the best that they can possibly think of. And as they are conjuring these new ideas and contemplating and chewing around them, Esther found herself pointing out something that happened a long time ago in a hotel parking lot on the other side of this continent. And Esther said, that was the day with that drive shaft disconnect that I really hurt my knee. And Jerry said, I remember that. And Esther said, maybe we shouldn't dig up bad things that we didn't like and activate them again now. And yet, there is this walk down memory lane. Sometimes in the process of defining what you want, you're pointing out some of what you didn't want. And we say, that's part of the deciphering process, isn't it? You don't really know clearly what you do want until you've lived a little bit of what you don't want. It's all part of the focusing process. But it's so interesting how in that focusing process, you come to new conclusions that work better for you. But then it seems, and this is the thing that trips you up more than all other things put together, it seems, you defend your new choice by reminding yourself how bad it was before. Not realizing that every time you return to that, you reactivate the vibration of that, which keeps you from clearly and purely being a match to who you now are and what you really want. That's why family reunions feel so awful. You go back to that place where you used to live, and back to that place where you used to vibrate differently, and you talk to those people who remember you as you were then, even though you are in a whole different vibrational place. And as you go there and focus and remember and look through family albums and watch those old videos and talk over old times, you activate who you were that does not jive with who you are. And when you do that, you feel less good the longer you do it. You say, oh, it's nostalgia. And we say, oh, it's disconnection from who you really are. Vibrationally speaking and emotionally speaking, this doorway to this vortex, this vibrational state of being, on the emotional scale is somewhere between hope and belief. In other words, if you are in despair or anger or revenge, you're nowhere near the vortex. And even though who you really are is in there and law of attraction is calling you home, you've got enough resistance going that you're not going easily. And that's what negative emotion is. Did you get that? Negative emotion is the larger part of you calling you, pulling you, but because of your resistant stance, you're not going easily. Oh, you're going. Because when you croak, in you go. You're going. You're just not going easily. And the fact that you're not going easily is why you have those hurtful, painful emotions that can even turn into illness. Resistance is only and always, only ever about, did we put enough in that to make you only ever, always, always ever, only, always, ever. Resistance is only, always, ever, eternally about, it's only ever about you having a vibration that doesn't match what's in there. So you hold yourself out with your own thoughts, which means nobody else, not the economy, not the government, not the other political party, not the other religious groups, not the opponent on the football field. Nobody, not ever, is the reason that you are not having the success that you want. Because no one can keep you out of your vortex but you. Unless you want to say, oh, they were there and I saw them. And because I saw them, I didn't allow myself into the vortex. So they really should be different because I might see them again. I don't have the ability to focus. I just look around everywhere. And I might see something that might hold me out of the vortex. So it seems to me that the best plan of action, this is what humans say, seems to me that the best plan of action would be for us to all get together and decide what the perfect one way of life is, and then we'll just make everybody be it, and then it'll be a lot easier. And we say, how is that working out? There has to be some logic that lets you know that if you need even one other person to be different so that you can get in the vortex and be a match to what you're asking for, you're going about it in the wrong way because you can't make them focus long enough. Do you have a teenager? You can't get them to hold you as their dominant intent. Isn't it, or wasn't it, maybe not for you, but many of you feel shocked that others would have the nerve to care about their life more than yours. I don't think that guy's giving me the best deal he could give me on this purchase. It's like he doesn't even care about me. And when you finally accept that every person on the planet is selfishly oriented, every person on the planet is making their way to their own vortex, and all you've got to do is find a thought that lets you in. Can you let go of what is right now? Can you accept that what is the magnificent bouncing off place, but where it's at, because the larger part of you has already gone there, is to a vibration that hasn't manifested yet. And if you can just hear us and believe that and look in the direction of the vibration that has not yet manifested, that stream will carry you. It will fill you with well-being. It will fill you with a feeling of adventure and enlivenment, and the manifestations will come barreling into your experience too. In other words, if you could just let go of what is, because it is only attention to what is. In other words, you can't tune to the frequency of the vibrational reality and the frequency of the reality at the same time. They are different frequencies. And there are people who would rightly say, but Abraham, there are things in my current reality that are vibrationally up to speed to the things that are in my vibrational reality. In other words, there's a lot of good stuff in my life. Couldn't I focus on it and still be a match to what's going on here? And we say, yes, of course you can. You could be such a good selective sifter that you just look at the best parts of reality and therefore tune yourself to the best parts of your vibrational reality. But it's the hard way to go about it, because in that sifting and sorting, you've got the pros and the cons, the pluses and the minuses, and it bogs your vibration down. If you could just be forward looking, if you could talk about where you're going and who you really are, if you could talk about how you want to feel, if you could talk about the big picture, if you could talk about your eternal nature, if you could talk about how things always work out for you, if you could talk about how the universal forces are already have already gathered the cooperative components. Look at the big picture and look toward the big picture and think about the big picture and speak about the big picture, and never look back to the reason that you ask for the big picture, because the reason that you ask for the big picture is a different vibration than the big picture. Does that make sense to you? It's interesting because now we've spent some time in the vortex and you've witnessed several people in perfect alignment with that which is their vortex. Do you feel a diffusion of anything that has been troubling in your experience? Does it feel to you as if the problems that are responsible for the creation of this vortex have now served their purpose, and now you're ready to give your undivided attention to what's in the vortex? Do you think that we could just stay in the vibrational patterning that you have all achieved? Do you think that we could stay here and sustain life experience just by talking about life.